Hey people, it's another 90 Day Happily Ever After chat, 90 Day Fiance, a reality show on TLC following real life couples, one from another country, one from the US, how they combine their lives to be together to hopefully get married. It's 90 Day Fiance. All right, so this episode is Weeping Beauty. Another thing that stood out, a quote from John: sometimes family sucks. But I can't name the whole episode that. So the episode's name is Weeping Beauty, but John said sometimes family sucks. And that just stood out to me for a moment. But let's talk about these couples, and I'm going to start with John, Patrick, Thais. Patrick and Thais are married, and John is the third wheel brother that usually gets in the way. They're in Brazil celebrating her birthday and just up there in Brazil to see her family and all of that. And Patrick didn't really get her father's blessing. And her father is really not feeling him, but he's like, okay, here's your chance to get my blessing. But he feels like he's trying to make him grovel and bow to him. That's how Patrick feels. So he's like, I'm not going to do that. But I will prove that I'm a good husband to your daughter. Of course, they have a beautiful baby together at this time, little baby, and they're actually staying in Patrick's father's apartment. And even John, his brother, who's really his half brother, can agree that Patrick's father, who was his stepfather, was not the greatest guy. And Thais sees it as well, but Patrick, since he didn't get to have a full upbringing with his dad, he wishes he did. That's his blood father. He loves and respects him and wants him in his life, but he doesn't see, some of the issues that his dad has. So that's why John said sometimes family sucks, but Thais and John both see it. So John comes to be the third wheel, ends up staying in the apartment with them because he didn't get any hotel reservations because he pretty much doesn't have the money, I'm sure. Thais is kind of upset. It's her birthday night, and he spent a lot of the night with his brother, so she was upset that her husband did that. But now he brings him back to the apartment that Patrick's father is allowing them to use. So she's not really happy about that either. Patrick does a lot of things, and then he's like, well, I'll do the thing and I'll just receive the punishment. Instead of talking to his wife, trying to see her thoughts, because he pretty much knows that she probably didn't want John to stay. He just lets things happen, does things, makes decisions, and then tells her in the aftermath. And that's what I really don't like about his relationship style, is that he treats his wife that way. Okay, your wife may not like certain things. You guys should still talk it out. You should respect her enough to talk to her to see if you guys can work something out, versus just, I'll do it and I'll face the repercussions, and she's just looking at you sideways all the time because something happens to happen. At some point, I'm sure she's going to see, and she may already know or figure it out, that things aren't just happening, but you're just doing stuff and then telling her after the fact. I don't like his relationship style. And maybe he is dealing with a picky wife there. He knows her temperament and all of that, but I think that he needs to be more respectful of her thoughts and feelings. Being a new mom, wanting to have her space, and all of these different things she may be feeling, and just everyday life things that they're going to have to deal with. If he just continues to carry himself as, I'll do what I want and tell her later, that was not a relationship that I would like to be in. And I think that's kind of disrespectful. So he's thinking, the fact that I told her, the fact that it happened, well, I'm off the hook because it's been revealed, but you should really talk to your person about all of these issues and these matters. And I get, because sometimes a partner, a spouse, can be very picky and not even want anyone around. You won't have the same freedoms. Of course, things are going to be changed after you get married, but there has to be some level of compromise there. You don't want to be totally, controlled by one partner. But in a way, that's kind of what Patrick is doing, because he's not informing her of anything until it happens. So I'm not feeling that vibe, but it is what it is. That's the situation. Hopefully they can find some type of better way to deal with their relationship. And hopefully Thais can continue to put up with that until they can find a better way. I don't know what's going to happen, but I guess on the spectrum of problems, that's their problems aren't really heavy. There's no real serious problems. It's just certain inconveniences and discomforts and things he knows she probably won't be okay with. And he just does it anyway. I mean, it could be a slippery slope, and it depends on how deep some of those things can get. Right now, they're not that deep, but hopefully they never get that deep to where it causes a rift in their marriage. All right, let's go to Jasmine and Gino. And the whole thing about control comes up. Gino controls all the money, and he knows Jasmine wants to be in this pageant. It's boosting her confidence, making her feel better. She has so many things going on against her. She can't even get her kids to the country, to America. Her mom is battling cancer. She's losing her hair just with all the stress. So this pageant, Gino even agrees it's what she needs. They're going to the gym, working out. She wants to stay another 45 minutes. He's like, no, I gotta go. I gotta do some things. So she kind of gets a little upset at him at the gym and says, we never get to do what I want to do. Everything's controlled by you, where we go, what we do, what we buy. And trying to find out when he's going to go back to work so he can afford some things, because one of his gripes is that the pageant fee is pretty high. So that's why he has not paid it yet, and they only have a week to pay it. So he says, well, I have some things to do. Let's just go leave the gym. So when they leave the gym, she's thinking they're going to go home and work on whatever he said he had to do. But no, he just wants to go get a smoothie, which probably will take another 30 minutes driving from there to go get the smoothie, maybe even more, then to get home. So she's like, well, we could have stayed at the gym. I mean, if all you wanted to do was get a smoothie, I mean, you could have just let me stay and work out at the gym. I think that, of course, she's in a country that she doesn't know her whereabouts well. They've been there long enough where I'm sure they've been to the gym before. He could leave her at the gym and go take care of him and go get him a smoothie or whatever he wanted to do. It looked like he just wanted to get a smoothie and come back and pick her up. Like, if he didn't want to work out, she said she was going to try to make him be a pageant king. She said he has to look as good as her. I think they were just doing that for fun. Honestly, I think he could have just left her at the gym, got a smoothie. But I feel like he's really, in a way, a little bit insecure. He probably doesn't want to leave her anywhere. Maybe he thinks somebody else is going to come pick her up and she's going to up and leave him at any time. But it's sad, you shouldn't really have that type of insecurity with your spouse. If he feels that way, that's pretty messed up. That wasn't said, but to just see how much control he has over her every day, everything she does and can't do. She says all she does is clean the house and cook for him. She doesn't have a life of her own. This pageant was going to be something she could look forward to, and hopefully he is able to pay the fees. Like, well, I didn't say I wasn't going to pay. I said I was going to work on it so then they fight about him going back to work so he can get more money. So that's their big issue, and it gets to a boiling point where they both get their smoothies and go back to the car. And after she started yelling at him while he was sitting outside drinking his smoothie, she's thinking this whole time I could have still been working out at the gym. She throws her smoothie at him, throws her shoes at him. I don't know, because he bought the shoes. I guess she hated them, and she's walking back home, not driving, not getting in the car with Gino. So that's that. The control issue does seem like it could be an issue, but I'm really kind of tired of Jasmine blowing up. To me, he's a little bit too passive, to the point where you can get upset. Like if you have two fiery people, you're never gonna be able to find a happy medium, and sometimes you can, but to have one person more calm and one person a little bit more upset or fiery, somebody may be able to control those flames, but to the point where Gino is just almost kind of passive and kind of blows her off even when she's at her boiling point, which probably makes her even more angry. I don't know if that combination of attitude works well together. And I don't like the level of control he has over Jasmine. It is understandable that if she's in a new country, she doesn't have anything of her own yet, she can't work yet, but she really should make the effort and get Gino to make that effort to have something she can do, some activities, a purpose, something, and allow her some spending money. She says everything she needs, even tampons, she has to go through Gino. He doesn't give her any spending money. She's saying she should have a credit card or something where she's able to take care of her basic needs, but everything she has to do goes through Gino. I mean, if I knew I was going to marry into a situation like that, I don't know if I'd want to. He was yelling about, 3 years before you even became my wife and moved up here, I was taking care of you. And she did have a pretty lavish desires and asked for a lot. He knew what he was marrying, but she should have knew what she was marrying because he was cheap. He was withholding. He tried, he did spend a lot on her, but the lot of things she asked for, he was not doing. In my opinion, he's not cheap. In my opinion, he's rational, but in her lifestyle, he may be considered cheap. And so she knew what she was marrying into, but the level of control, almost being a child like state, and so all she does is please him, take care of him in the house, and have no life of her own, and she's just a child that he gets to have fun with whenever. I just don't like that thought and that idea, so that definitely needs to change. Jasmine said, "No creature on earth controls me but my dog," which I thought was weird. I mean, you do have to protect and take care of your dog, but if you think about that, your kids too, you're gonna have to take care of your kids. I understand a little bit, but it was just a really weird comment to say no creature on earth will control me but my dog. It's messy. I wouldn't want to live there. Honestly, it's not a good thing. And again, it's understandable. I'll go down to our other couple here. When it comes to Manuel and Ashley. Now, with those two, it's a similar thing because Manuel's new to the country. And he also can't work and all of that. He has to ask her for money. He does feel like his freedoms are in check because he feels like she doesn't trust him. I don't think she's as tight on him as Gino is to Jasmine. In this episode, she deposited $1,000 into his account, so at least he has his own account and access for that. But he asked for money for his family, and they've come up to about $200 a month for the family that they can afford to do that. And it goes a longer way in his country. She's talking to her cousin in this episode, getting some IV treatments, acting as if it's some type of potion because she is a certified witch. Her cousin kind of plays along with it, but she works at a place where they give you IV treatments of different vitamins and minerals, and Ashley says it gives her a boost. But her cousin, while she's there, she's complaining about Manuel and everything that happened in New York and the money situation. Why does he need $1,000? I don't know. Does she give him $1,000 a month is my question, because I don't think that he should. I don't know the living cost of the state where they live in, which I don't recall where it's at. I don't know the cost of living, but $200 is going to his family. He has no other bills. Everything's under her name. Why does he need $1,000? Is it for the whole month? Again, it depends on the spending needs within the month, but Is he buying some new clothes? Like, to me, that's like a lot of money to put in his account. Does she owe him? Is he supposed to make that 1,000 last for a couple months? Like, I would like to know the itemization of the money. I know it's not that deep and I probably should know that, but maybe they need to break it down. They will possibly get a post-nup. Manuel was kind of bucking it, but that's what Ashley's cousin said he should be open to doing if he really loves her. So at first he made a big speech about, they went out to eat. He made a big speech about, I married you for love. I'm not going to play you. We're supposed to be spending our life together, and that's why I married you, because I love you, and that I'm not going to play you like this. But she said, well, but are you willing to do this just for my own safety and peace of mind? He's like, fine, I'll do this. So they're going to see a lawyer. We're going to see what happens with that situation. But again, money issues, excuse me, a level of control and a level of mistrust when it comes to Ashley and Manuel. Ashley's not sure with his relationship with his baby's mamas and all of that. Is that still going on from his country, a long distance thing? So she doesn't fully know, even though he said, I'm not doing anything. She's not 100% on that and their status, and just the way that he treats her. He can be kind of harsh and unforgiving and not very thoughtful about her feelings. So that's their situation. And post-nup, the whole idea of a post-nup, I've heard of those, and I do think that's a good idea. It looks like it's going to be very interesting when they go to the lawyer as far as how that's going to go. And prenup versus postnup, that's a good question. Which one do you think would be more beneficial? Prenup, I think, protects your assets before the marriage, but a postnup, I think, protects it afterwards. So maybe anything that you accrue after marriage, and I could be wrong about this, so please correct me if I'm wrong, at cbiztv@yahoo.com. Email me, drop something in the comments, depending on what platform you're checking me out at. But yeah, do you guys know the difference between the prenup and postnup legally? Pre and post, we know what that means, but what are all the legal ramifications? Maybe we'll learn more in that next episode of the show. Very interesting things that I think people should learn and know about when it comes to relationships. I think this show tackles a lot of emotional things, but some legal things, and especially if you have a partner from another country, visa matters and all of that. And speaking of visa matters, we're going to go to Michael and Angela. Michael is going to his interview where he's supposed to be getting approved for his, I think it's the K1 visa. Angela's waiting. He's in his country. They both are, and she's waiting. She said it took hours for him to come back. She was losing it, and he finally comes back. She's like, did you get it? And he was like, no. She's very disappointed. She's kind of screaming, having a fit, and he says, it might take a couple of weeks. They said there was some type of discrepancy because he moved his paperwork from one location to another. So Angela was like, that's probably why they're holding you up. They may not trust what you're doing. They might be wondering why you've chosen to do that. And he says, well, you can go back home. You don't have to stay these 2 weeks. So that makes her feel that, what are you up to? Why don't you want to stay with me or have me stay here for the next 2 weeks? So this cheating kind of issue comes up with them off and on, back and forth or whatever. So that's their deal. But, he didn't get his paperwork. His interview didn't go through. And so they have another couple weeks waiting game to happen. And Angela's questioning his love and loyalty for her once again. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. If you've been with someone for so long and you've been waiting for this process to happen, I understand how it could be disheartening when things don't work out. But and he's doing things, like you said, that he's not informing her of some of the things doing the moves he's making when it comes to the visa paperwork and all that. So I do think he's wrong on that note. But, maybe he's right. Maybe in a couple weeks, everything will clear up. We'll see. I just wonder for them and maybe some of the other couples where their visa's at a stall or standstill. Is it kind of a game to just kind of hold on to someone, but not really make the full commitment? So it's kind of easier to kind of mess around with the paperwork. It's easier to maybe not pay the fees or whatever needs to be done, just so you can kind of continue to have this relationship but not have the full commitment of the marriage and moving to the country and all of that. That possibly could be a game that he's playing to stay attached to her, because I'm sure she's taking care of him. I think that they're staying at a hotel and she probably foot the bill for that. Not saying she's 100% taking care of his whole lifestyle, but I'm sure there's perks and benefits and things that she's done financially to support him. She is an older woman there. Not to say that she's not desirable, but beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and age doesn't really say whether you should be desirable or not. But it's a older woman, younger man scenario. Sometimes sugar daddy, sugar mama thoughts come into play where people seem like they could be gold diggers and trying to use people. It's a possibility, but I don't know. This relationship's going on for a long time. They're trying to keep it going, keep holding on to it. So we'll see what happens when it comes to Michael and Angela. Lauren and Alexi. Alexi's taking care of the kids. Lauren is back home from this major surgery. Her mom is giving her the side eye because she just seems tore up from the floor up, so to speak. She doesn't look bad, but she's healing and she can barely do anything in the house. So her mom's helping her, but her mom's judging her at the same time, side-eyeing her. They had a Rosh Hashanah feast dinner to recognize the season the same day that she returned home. So there was a lot for her, but she was able to get through it. Alexi told the kids, hey, don't pull or push on mommy. She's had a lot of things happening with their body. He didn't give details, but he's like, just be gentle with mommy, basically. And it was funny how one of the kids just said something about a giraffe, an adult giraffe, like an adult giraffe, compared his mom to the giraffe, and Alexi was like, okay. It's funny the weird things kids say, but I think he must just be really into giraffes right now. But I thought it was cute how he just said, like an adult giraffe. Okay. So that's really all that happened with them. Kind of mom is judging, and even the way mom judged kind of Alexi was kind of like, okay, so you can't complain like your mom said. You can't complain. You decided to do this all at once, and he's still helpful to her, but he's now putting on his judgy face as well. So I hope she's in a good environment for healing and she doesn't feel too judged during the time. Hopefully it all pays off at the end of the day. But it was an elective surgery, and what are you going to say? She said she feels bad. She's not able to do anything, but it is what it is. You have to wait till she heals and see if this was all worth it. Moms is giving her a hard time, but I guess that's what moms does. And hopefully we'll see how things go with her and mom. Her mom was like, I'm glad that I'm able to, come and help us support you because my schedule's open, but yeah, you really didn't have to do it like this. But since you did, just grin and bear it. All right, finally, we're going to end with Kobe and Emily and the whole property situation where Kobe's family has to get a dowry to Emily's family in order to so-called become Kobe's family's property. And the word property, I understand, was a trigger word for Emily's mom, and even dad chimed in. It's like, we don't really like that word property. We were kind of okay with things until you said that word property. Kobe chimes in, like, we don't mean it that way. We mean it as she's our responsibility. We're going to look out for her. We're going to take care of her. We don't mean it as if she's property. So Kobe was able to smooth it out with his wording, with his savvy wording. And Emily comes out with the meal that she prepared with the help, I think, of his sister. And everybody said that's a great meal for the first time learning how to cook Cameroonian food. The food gets rave reviews. So, Kobe wipes his brow. He sighs a sigh of relief and says, well, I'm glad this worked out. But Emily has to throw him for another loop. Because actually his family threw her family for a loop. So she had to throw him for a loop and say, I want to clear up this one thing. Of course, Kobe says he hopes his friends will accept her and they'll also be at the wedding. And that's his big hope for everything to work out well. But Emily's like, your friends told me something about your ex, how your ex thought you guys were still together while you were talking to me and you got me pregnant in China. So I just want to clear the air about that. So can you tell your ex to meet you and your wife? So he a little reluctantly does so, but he's like, why do I have to need to do this? He doesn't question too much, but he is somewhat reluctant. And she just says, hey, just text her and tell her to meet us. Meet me and your wife. Make that clear in the text that you have a wife now, and let's talk. So that's gonna be what's coming up for the next episode of 90 Day Happily Ever After. Sometimes they focus on one couple more than the others, so we don't know if they'll talk about them next episode. But I do know that they had a preview where they will be talking with Ashley and Manuel as they go work on that post-nup. So that's the tea, that's the skinny when it comes to that episode. Always rooting for love, learning lessons of love, learning lessons of life from this reality show. Of course, it is a microscope look into someone's life. It's not 100%, even though it is a reality show. It's not 100% reality because they're putting different constraints. They have cameras following them like most people don't have. But it's probably as close as you're going to get to seeing into someone's life, all the ups and downs and challenges when it comes to relationships. Plus, putting on top of that, you're from another country. Plus, putting on top of that, sometimes language and cultural differences and barriers, and plus putting on top of that, you may be relocating and having to change into a new culture, a new reality. So all of this on top of just a regular relationship issues, which can be hard enough. But I respect the show. I respect 90 Day Fiance. I respect people still wanting to be fiancés, wanting to be married, going through a challenging visa process that most people don't have to go through. I mean, most people can just jump and run to Vegas or go to the courthouse to get married. These people really, really love each other if they want to take, you would think they would. Sometimes people do things for other reasons, and sometimes people play stunts and they have ulterior motives, but it's a lot to go through this process and to finally be able to marry your person. So I feel like there's definitely a level of dedication, a level of commitment here. And I do think some people do want a better life. I'm not going to even lie. In some of the countries, they may not have the best life. America can be deceptive. It's not the best in America either. But even though I feel that in many cases, these couples care about each other. These couples love each other. Some of them, some of the partners may be looking for a come up, maybe looking for new opportunities, which is not always a bad thing as long as they love their partner, they're committed to their partner, and they step up once they get into this new place of life and family and well-being. At the end of the day, as long as they hold their end of the bargain of being a good spouse, then, no harm, no foul is what I say. But always rooting for love here on CBiz Media, Faith, Love, and Trends. We'll talk more faith, love, and trends in future episodes right here on CBiz Media. This is Irene. Connect with me anytime. Email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com. That's cbiztv@yahoo.com. All the best. God bless.